Hey guys, update to the Backyard Bushcraft series is we finally got a little bit of rain here in California. It's February, and this grass you see here, if we would have had regular rain like we're supposed to, would probably be up to my knees about now, but it's not. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about a wild edible here that's just infiltrated my backyard, as it does every year. And it's all over the West Coast, and it's called miner's lettuce. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but this stuff is just everywhere. It's covering my backyard. And let's see, I'll get one out here. And this stuff grows in the spring in wet conditions, and by summertime it's completely gone. It just disappears, turns to dust, I don't know. So you can see it grows in kind of a rosette pattern, and it's got long petioles going to the leaves. And it's pretty easy to identify. I mean, it's kind of unmistakable, the look of it. These are still pretty young. They get bigger than this, and they start very much smaller. You can see here's some just getting started out here. And so this stuff, the miner's lettuce, got its name because I think the miners in this area, the early settlers in the 1800s, came out for mining, gold miners, folks like that, would eat this stuff to ward off scurvy. It's very high in vitamin C. I have a feeling they picked that up from the natives in the area. And it's a very tasty plant. It eats really well in salads and everything. It's one of the few wild edibles, I think, that you can pick and eat from very young to even past flowering and everything. It stays pretty tender and moist. It's a very moist plant when you eat it. I really like it. It's kind of like the iceberg lettuce of the wild edibles world in my mind, but with a lot more nutrition. So it tastes fantastic, and it's really good in salads and that sort of stuff. But it's very seasonal and very dependent on the rain coming, moisture. So it'll first start coming up in sunny areas, but for the most part, what you find underneath the trees and everything is what's going to be best and throughout the spring season. So another interesting thing about it is that most of our kind of wild edibles like this here in America are not native. This is native. You know, you think of plantain and purslane, dandelion, many of the thistles, garlic mustard, shepherd's purse, those kind of things are all from Europe. This one is native from America, and interestingly enough, people in the late 1800s brought these seeds back to Europe for the gardens of the more elite class, and it ended up spreading out there, and it's kind of a weed there, just like dandelions are here. So it's kind of a little bit different. And so this stuff is kind of spread. It's all along the West Coast up into Canada, California into Canada. I think it's down in Mexico too now. It goes east into the Great Plains now, and I think as far as you can find it in places as far as Ohio. Anyway, like I said, it's kind of good to eat in all stages, and you know, I find it quite tasty, so and give it a try here. And eat the whole thing, stems and all. Yeah, sweet taste, a little bit of a greens taste. It doesn't have that real woody taste that you find a lot in you know, the wild edibles, where it's, you know, there's no doubt it comes from the forest, right? But this stuff is very light in flavor, very succulent and moist, and It's really, really tasty. One of my favorites, and I collect some every spring season and eat it just because I really enjoy it. A lot of wild edibles, you know, they're palatable. You can eat them, but they're not necessarily super good. And you have to pick them at just like curly dock or something. If you don't pick it at the right stages, it's really bitter and tough and woody. And this stuff, it just doesn't matter. You can pick it whenever, eat it whenever. And it'll get a tad bit tougher after it flowers, but it's still good. So anyway, just thought I'd share that one to you. You guys give it a try. Any of you that are anywhere but the far, you know, the East Coast, you can look around for it. And you know, it's so abundant this time of year. Again, that's a good close-up with a backdrop. The roots don't even go hardly deep into the soil at all. It's just a couple of filaments, you know. That's about it. Just requires a bunch of moisture and some soil. And once that California sun starts coming out and later in the spring, this stuff just, once it's after it seeds, it just goes away. I don't even know where it goes. It just vanishes. So get it while the getting's good. So if you I did some other videos on wild edibles books. If you need more information on IDing, you know, always be sure what you're eating. It's always a disclaimer. Be 100% sure. Get some of those books I recommended, and you know, consult multiple sources. Don't just take my word for it or anybody else's. You know, no YouTube warriors or anything are gonna be any good if you get sick. So, you know, double and triple check. Make sure you know what you're doing. Okay? Alright guys, that's all. Take it easy.